Boston. It is lovely to see you all. But first, let's get into it. What a week. On Monday, the trial of Donald J. Trump in the case of will begin in earnest. But the prospect of that trial hasn't exactly riveted our worst boy. The New York Times' Maggie Haberman said Donald Trump dozed off in court again on Friday, writing, "It happened several times just now. His eyes were closed for extended periods and his head dropped down twice." What do you think he's gonna do? Save the good Coke for court? Grow up. Meanwhile, I want you to know something. I don't think sharing what I'm about to share is journalistically sound. But okay. We deserve it. Let's roll this clip.
And I'm hearing from credible sources who know what's going on in the courtroom. And what I'm hearing is that, take it for what it's worth, but that Donald Trump is actually farting in the courtroom and that it's very stinky around him. It's a putrid odor. And I'm hearing it from actual credible people that as he's kind of falling asleep, he is actually passing gas, and that his lawyers are really struggling with the smell.
Yeah. Thank you to Midas Touch for that bit of too good to check reporting. I know we're all exhausted and jaded, but imagine if someone told you 4 years ago that Trump wouldn't be able to stop sleep farting in a courtroom where he's on trial and his own lawyers were choking on his horrible farts. We'd be over the moon. The case was set to begin after 12 jurors and 6 alternates were officially impaneled by Friday afternoon. And for anyone worried that Trump won't be tried by a jury of his peers, rest assured, all 12 jurors are also farting constantly. In an unusual twist, there are at least 2 lawyers among the chosen jurors. "It's true, I'm still technically a lawyer," said an impaneled Rudy Giuliani as he attempted to bathe himself in a courthouse drinking fountain. One potential juror was dismissed after starting to cry, saying she didn't think she was up to serving because it was so much more stressful than I thought it was going to be. I feel for her. I've had the same reaction while parking at a Whole Foods, and I didn't have Donald Trump staring at me the whole time. "Come on, Jennifer, keep it together, keep it together." Walks in there, full anxiety attack. With court adjourned until Monday, Trump clocked back in at the posting factory, writing on Truth Social, "Judge Merchan is railroading me at breakneck speed." That's a little horny. "In order to completely satisfy his friends." Hornier. "Additionally, he has gagged me." Horniest. "So that I cannot talk about the most important of topics, including his totally disqualifying conflict of interest and taking away my constitutional right of free speech." "If this is Trump gagged, what does he sound like normally?" said one of those jurors who had never heard of him before. Judge Juan Merchan's hearing on Trump's ongoing stream of consciousness multimedia violations of the gag order will take place on Tuesday. Also gagging, Trump's lawyers as he keeps ripping ass. Speaking of being trapped in a room filling up with MAGA farts, the months-long battle over funding for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan came to a head this weekend as the House moved ahead with several votes to the increasing rage of the kind of Republicans who get kicked out of a movie theater for being drunk and carrying a gun and trying to eat a basket of unshucked oysters. Marjorie Taylor Greene submitted an amendment to the Israel funding bill requesting money for space lasers to protect the border from migrants. Said Greene's Republican colleague, "Sorry about this. We thought we had her down for the day, but she chewed through her restraints." She's like one of those bears that they got to put a trampoline beneath the tree to catch because they got hit with the dart, but it takes forever to affect her. She's running on adrenaline. Gets all the way up the tree. Get the trampoline. Sorry. Now, you might be wondering, why would Marjorie Taylor Greene bring up space lasers again? That was the whole embarrassing controversy when she mentioned space lasers the last time. But clearly, she is fed up of moments like this.
Can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you off? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
First of all, I love that clip because you see her, she says, why don't you, and she's thinking about it. This is a woman who's, she got a hair trigger on, fuck off. Says it all the time, says it in traffic, says it at the DMV. She's telling people to fuck off. But then she's like, no, I'm going for it. Why don't you fuck off? And anyway. So she's taken back the narrative on space lasers. Because she posted on whatever that site is, I've previously voted to fund space lasers for Israel's defense. America needs to take our national security seriously and deserves the same type of defense for our border. Greene is likely referring to funding for Israel's Iron Beam defense system, which is a laser system designed to knock rockets and mortars out of Israeli airspace. And I know that this is why she's doing it. And I know, like the evil planet in The Fifth Element, content attacking MTG only makes her more powerful. But there are actually Jewish space lasers? Like, I know that that's not what we'll get into all of it, but like when we were making fun of her, we didn't know that there were Jewish space lasers. Like, that literally never was mentioned. And all the times we were all making fun of her for saying there are Jewish space lasers. And it turns out there are lasers that Israel shoots into space. I don't love it. Now, just to be clear, the lasers are actually, they're not in space. But more importantly, this was not what Marjorie Taylor Greene was referring to when she first tried to sound the alarm about the Jewish space lasers. This is important because she was the original conspiracy theory. She wrote it all up. It was about a cabal including international Jewish bankers in cahoots with Jerry Brown and PE&G and trains that were, for pretty confusing reasons, using secret space lasers to start wildfires in California. That was what she was originally referring to. Here is the original post from Marjorie Taylor Greene, just so people at home understand. This is real. For those at home, it is a wall of nonsense from Facebook. And look, we all know how nuts this is on the merits, but also, look at that chunky-ass paragraph. Nobody on a normal one posts paragraphs like that. That is not what a legislator's post looks like. That is the paragraph shape of a bride who just found out her fiancé slept with her brother, or me, after I get home and realize they forgot the sweet and sour sauce for the McNuggets, which destroys the experience. I don't want to check the bag at the window, and you don't want me to check the bag at the window. That takes fucking trust. I hate checking the bag at the window. I feel like an asshole. Like I don't believe they know how to do their jobs. And I do believe they know how to do their job. But then I get home, no fucking sauce. Then I'm going to the fridge and saying, what can we do? What can we make happen here? That's for you, it's for you. Anyway, the space laser proposal was separate from the amendment MTG submitted conscripting congresspeople who vote for the Ukraine bill into the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainians could be so lucky. The Russian army has no defense against Nancy Pelosi rapping Hamilton lyrics. It's the one true cause of Havana syndrome. Then Saturday, 6 months after President Biden began his push to get this passed, the House voted through a foreign aid package for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. The aid package will now head to the Senate and likely on to the president's desk. This led the hardliners to call for Mike Johnson's removal. One of the freaks, Tom Massey, said, "The pressure is already building. It's going to be inevitable, especially now that he's chosen his path with the Democrats. Like, once you go there, it's hard to go back." Which, of course, brings up that old famous phrase, once you go Democrat, you don't go back, or forward, or really anywhere. You just kind of stay where you are and call it a win. Said Lauren Boebert, "I'm so furious. This whole bill package is an absolute sham and disgusting. I blame Speaker Mike Johnson for that bill even being on the floor. I couldn't vote against it fast enough, even though my voting hand is so exhausted from seeing Music Man last night." But the flying monkeys raise a good question. How was Mike Johnson convinced to work with Democrats on the bill? According to the New York Times, the social conservative backbencher who once opposed Ukraine funding, now thrust into a position of authority, was persuaded by intelligence briefings and felt, get this, a responsibility to do what was right. Have you heard of this? Mike, for this rare example of political growth and integrity, I've spoken with the trans people. And just for you, they're all going to hold it in on your birthday. It's a gesture. Back in February, Chuck Schumer said that a meeting in the Oval Office with Biden and congressional leaders, including Johnson, was one of the most intense meetings he's ever attended. At several points, it almost felt wrong to go up and sneak a second Danish, but I waited until the conversation had shifted to the other side of the room to do a quick grab, Schumer added. Johnson even encouraged fellow House Republicans to attend the White House's briefings to see for themselves. Like when your friend saw Everything Everywhere All at Once and wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. You gotta see this briefing, I don't even want to tell you about it, I want you to go in fresh. In the end, Johnson, an evangelical Christian, prayed for guidance, telling Representative Michael McCall, "I want to be on the right side of history." "I'll try anything once," the speaker continued. "One time, the wife and I kissed with our mouths open, prayed for 2 hours after, but still, it was a pretty wild night." Also, as part of the foreign aid package, the House passed a bill that would force TikTok's Chinese-owned parent company, ByteDance, to sell the app to an American company. If not, TikTok will be banned in the US. God, this drawn-out process is killing me. Could they just wrap this up in like a minute and a half? Maybe while it plays side by side with someone bedazzling a sweater or laying grout for some reason? The ban would also prevent the personal information of American users from being sold to China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea, which seems reasonable, because if I want to tell everyone in the world my personal information, I'll do it the way I feel most comfortable, on stage while pretending my mother doesn't listen. But personally, if North Korea wants to know how much I enjoy watching videos of a Texas woman scooping handfuls of bees out of crawl spaces with her bare hands, I say let them know it. Maybe it'll bring us together. The legislation says that ByteDance has roughly 9 months to sell, plus it gives President Biden the ability to extend the deal by 90 days if it looks like a sale is imminent. Mark Cuban says he won't go a penny higher. Then the ByteDance executive says, "Hold on a second, I gotta go check with my manager." Then he goes into the Oval Office and he says to Biden, "Look like you're giving me a hard time, like you can't believe how low I went. This fucking roof, we got him, Joe, we got him where we want him." I heard your sigh. That sucks for me. Anyway, speaking of vectors for conspiracy theories, over a dozen members of the Kennedy clan appeared in Philadelphia with President Biden late last week to endorse him over anti-vax darling RFK Jr. Here's a quick list of who was in attendance.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Among those... Yeah, sure. So stupid. Among those throwing their weight behind the current president are RFK Jr.'s siblings Joseph, Carrie, Rory, Kathleen, Maxwell, and Christopher. With that many Kennedys in one place at one time, the orb of power, which some claim is just a myth, was glowing so brightly in its current resting place, the crater of a volcano on Molokai, you could actually see it from the Four Seasons Lanai. Just a fact about the orb of power. RFK Jr. wrote on X, "I hear some of my family will be endorsing President Biden today. I am pleased that they are politically active. It's a family tradition. We are divided in our opinions, but united in our love for each other. I, too, am pleased to hear that members of my staff had lunch here in Austin. I hear it's a tradition. They may not have invited me, but they are all united in loving me so much." RFK Jr. sees his closest relatives calling an emergency press conference because he's a baffling weirdo on an ego trip so dangerous and divorced from reality it could fuck up our entire democracy. And he treats it like he and his siblings chose different charities for the annual Thanksgiving turkey trot. Speaking of emotional riffs playing out in the media, Taylor Swift. I've never heard it said. I've just read it. Taylor Swift released the much-anticipated Tortured Poets Department, and then at 2 a.m. revealed that it's a surprise double album. The album is Swift's first release since her breakup with longtime love Joe Alwyn and fling with 1975 singer Matt Healy. And here we have footage of Alwyn and Healy being transported in a motorcade following the release.
Hey, what the hell?
You guys remember Clear and Present Danger? That scene fucking crushes. That scene rules. Clear and Present Danger is awesome. The thing about Clear and Present Danger, and we should talk about it, it's important. Clear and Present Danger, it's a great movie, but it also is just from a simpler time in politics, because the whole premise of that movie is that once the public finds out that the president funded this illicit war in South America, well, that'll be it for his presidency. But now today, he'd just be like, fuck yeah, I did it, eat shit. It ends in a congressional hearing where Harrison Ford's like, I'm gonna tell the truth. And they're like, thank God he's gonna tell the truth. That'll do it. It's very similar to how at the end of American President, he goes into the press briefing room and his approval rating's in the toilet. He hasn't passed anything, and he's like, I am the president. And then the music swells, and he's back in love, and the movie's over, and everybody wins. But then the news would just say, president says he's president. I don't think it helps him. And he just pulled both of his important bills. I don't know. After blowing it during her first Coachella performance, Grimes poked fun at herself on X, saying of her second weekend set, I will cap the disarray at a maximum 10 seconds per song. She then played what sounded like 2 hours of a toaster being thrown into a bathtub. Still better than Tortured Poets Society. Fuck, I fucked it up. I'm kidding, I haven't listened to the new T Swift album. Well, I listened to one song, so maybe I have. Speaking of, I saw the craziest, anyway. People fucking take this thing in like it's the codex to the hidden meaning. It's unbelievable. I saw people rearranging letters to make other names. It's like, guys, no. I think a lot of problems in this society would be solved if there were still bowling leagues. Is that crazy? Like, I just think there's a lot of people that need a place to go every Wednesday. At night, you just go to this one place. Speaking of performances that ran out of steam, a man who posed as a priest under a fake name, Father Martin, in order to steal cash from multiple Catholic churches from Queens to Texas to Oregon, has been arrested in California. Priests first started to suspect Father Martin was an imposter when he kept saying how much he loved Jesus Christ and being the mayor of New York City after 9/11. And finally, Elon Musk is looking around Twitter's storage room for something worth $40 billion, and he might just have an idea, the video app Vine, which Twitter discontinued, but many think might have been before its time. The tech billionaire posted a poll that asked, bring back Vine, yes or no? Of course, it's also possible Musk was simply workshopping his newest character, Considerate Tarzan. Bring back Vine, yes or no? What a considerate Tarzan might say. Now you fucking get it. You see what I'm saying?
It's love it or leave it.